Some days I get to curate art, and some days I get to create art. And for me, the idea that, at a certain age when I finally decided, look, all this other stuff is not getting me any closer to the thing that I really want to do. So I'd already been doing all these things for my own work, doing matting and framing and all that. And then that workshop experience that I had at the Ansel Adams workshop, I knew right away that when I was in high school, I went to career development day. They go, what do you want to do? I go, I want to teach. And they go, come on, we got like thousands of people coming through the system that want to teach. By the time you graduate, you won't be able to find a job. It'll be just swamped. And I said, wow, really? And they go, so you should pick another,
They
profession.
talked you out of
They
teaching?
did. And so I'm looking up there at the career board and I go, oceanographer looks cool. So guess who didn't become
Jacques Cousteau, huh?
Yeah. So I guess he didn't become a teacher or an oceanographer, right? But as soon as I got involved in my art and I get that passion developed for it, and I went to this workshop and saw people who were living it, I'm like, man, that's what I want to do. So I got more and more involved in it, and I got to the point where I was pretty competent in doing the darkroom work. So I've been teaching workshops since I was doing darkroom days, and then now it's sort of has transpired into teaching Photoshop and digital printing. I do a few travel workshops during the year where we go out and photograph in the field. We just did one this last June, I guess it was. May. I always remember May because we do Cinco de Mayo. There's a great little Mexican restaurant bar there where we go in Paso Robles or up northern California. But to get out and shoot with other photographers it's just a great time to be out with other people. And most of the arts are these kind of like solo adventures where you're sitting in front of your computer, you're painting on your easel, you're at home all the time, and kind of a lonely adventure. And it's always great, I think, to get out of that environment, bring your things out and show your friends, show the public. And one of the things that I started doing years ago based on a class I'd had at Orange Coast College, junior college, when I just got out of high school, it was called Portfolio Development. And the teacher, Susan Rankaitis, we met in her office. It was just a small group of students, and we basically got to work on anything we wanted. And we would meet, once a week, and we would just meet in the class, have a critique with each other. And the teacher, Susan, was so good at taking a visual medium and vocalizing on this thing. And I remember just being amazed by being able to hear somebody verbalize about art. And I always remember going, I want to be able to do that someday, because it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And we were just talking the other day. I've been doing critiques for the last 40 years, at least one night every month, and now I do 2 nights a month on my own. I do photo critiques 2 nights a month through 2 meetup sites that I have called Digital Photo Exchange and DPX. People send in images. We meet once a month. We live in a mobile home park, so we have a big community room. So everybody comes together, they send me the images, we put them on a projector, and we talk about how to improve photographs.
Wow.
And then I do an online version of it too for people who can't travel, so anybody from anywhere in the world. In fact, I have a couple that are in India different times during the year. They tune in from India, and we do a live critique night, online.
Cool.
And part of the critique process for me, and we also, I know we're going to talk a little bit about the museum.
Right.
We do a quarterly critique night there. And the
Right.
fun thing about that is it's not just a room full of photographers, it's a room full of all kinds of artists, sculptors, painters, photographers.
The full disciplines.
Yeah. And the ability to show painters my photographs is a whole new experience.
Yeah.
I mean, photographers know photography, but painters, they don't know anything about Photoshop. They don't know anything about f-stops and shutter speeds. They want to talk about the content of the image. So it's kind of fun to be in that room and talk about art with other artists.
Right. So I think that's the perfect lead-in then, unless you want to share any other. What I think you should do is after the show, post your links on my page.
I will.
Let's get those links in for the people who are watching in, so they don't forget or have to search around. They know they can come back to my studios and get a hold of you, find you, and if they're interested in any of these things you've been talking about. So anyway, I think that's a good dovetail into OMA,
right.
Oceanside Museum of Art. And they're doing amazing things, guys. If you haven't been down to the museum, if you're not a member, it's ridiculous not to go down there. It's ridiculous not to. What's the membership now? Is it $10 or something?
No. So there's and so for Artist Alliance, it's interesting.
No,
so,
no. I just meant the basic membership.
Well, the
though.
basic membership though is 45. I think
Is it
for the
45?
museum, yeah.
Okay, but then you can go at will, right? Year round. That's a year round pass at will.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a good deal. So let's talk about if you become a member, so you can see all these wonderful art pieces that are coming down the pike from guys like Larry here and the people he's talking about. You know, now if you're an artist or you're thinking about becoming an artist, okay, go the next step. Now maybe it's the becoming the associate with
so
the
the Artist
Alliance. That's $10.
It's $20.
$20. Okay. Where did I get $10 in
You're
my
giving
head?
discounts already.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah.
That's why we got him here
It's
tonight.
$20. Yeah.
$20. Okay. Right. So which is nothing, guys.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
So yeah, when I was born and raised in Orange County. I moved to Oceanside with my partner in life, Barbara, and she paints, and so we've had a great life together. I mean, it's so fun to like have a home that's centered around art and your studio and all that. We went to the Oceanside Museum of Art when we first got here to see an exhibition. There was a photographer having a show there that I had met through the Ansel Adams Gallery many years ago. And I go, wow, there's a show in Oceanside. Rainier is doing a show in Oceanside.
How
we gotta
long
go.
ago was that?
Well, this was 14 years ago, 16 years ago when we moved to Oceanside. So we go down there to see the show, and we walk into the museum. And if you haven't been to the museum, I'm going to guarantee you, your first experience is just, you're going to be blown away by the facility. I mean, it's like, this is Oceanside? And that was our first thing. It was like, wow, this is a major museum in Oceanside. And we just felt fortunate to be living in Oceanside and have this quality of a museum here. We walked in, we saw the show, we fell in love with the museum, and found out about the Artist Alliance. We got out and looked at a couple of Artist Alliance shows that were going. At that time, the Artist Alliance was a much smaller group. And the director of the museum at the time, who was actually just getting ready to leave his position at the museum, he decided to do a juried show for the Artist Alliance that would be held inside the museum. Become an Artist Alliance member, submit your work is juried, and then they did a show in the museum. I mean, there's not very many museums that do.
And they're still doing it.
And
they're still doing it today.
When they did that show, the Artist Alliance membership doubled because you had to be a member to submit work, and they learned how important that show was for artists in the community. So the membership doubled, and somebody on staff wisely saw what happened, and they said, "Wow, this is amazing! Membership doubled. We gave this little perk of doing a juried show. Probably these people aren't going to sign up again unless they have a good reason." They pulled together a group of people to sit one night and talk about what can we do to hang on to these Artist Alliance members who may have just jumped in to do this juried show the first time. So out of that came this big board of ideas of what we could do. The first meeting I think that Barbara and I went to, they pulled me aside and asked me if I would chair the Artist Alliance group. And I thought, I'm not a leader. That's what every leader says first, right? I'm not a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I believe in this. I think that this could be really important. And so Barb and I jumped on. I chair it. Barb co-chairs it. We ended up creating the Artist Alliance Planning Council. And from the beginning, our goal has been really to create membership benefits so that people who join see a value in it beyond just that juried show. So from 7 or 8 years ago when we had that first show, we've been on target to do that juried show every other year. So we do the show at the museum every other year. That show has grown. In fact, the end of this month is the deadline to submit work. So get onto the OMA website, join, become a member, and we do all of our submissions through online juried shows. So it's an online site where you just upload your images, and then the jurying process will happen. You'll be notified, accepted or rejected from the show, or we don't want to say rejected, accepted or not accepted. How's that?
Right.
And then they'll end up doing the show. Happens at the end of the year. So our last one 2 years ago. it was one of the larger ones that we've done so far. There were close to 100 pieces of artwork in the show. It was in the downstairs gallery, huge. We had over 1,000 people at the reception. I mean, you should have seen the museum that night. They had the doors open to the terrace outside, and it was just packed with people. And they said that we more or less broke all the records for attendance. Right. So we'll see in a few more months if we can beat it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully people listening tonight are gonna participate, and so. Anyway, get the word out, guys. It's been a very exciting to hear about all of this. I'm recently in the Artists Alliance myself. I've gone through the process. I've got a few pieces submitted, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. Don't prejudge your work. Art is art, okay? If it's art to you, it's going to be art to somebody else. It may not be for everybody. Not all art is for everybody. But it doesn't say that it's not art, okay? And I've had pieces that were not 100% completed, and people say, "Oh, leave it like that. It looks fine." I'm going to go, "No, I can't leave it like that."
Well, I'll tell you, there is a great little event we do every month on the first Sunday. So it's a great way to get your feet wet, get in, meet other artists. Every first Sunday from noon till 2, we do a little thing that the Artists Alliance hosts called Coffee and Conversation. So Starbucks gives us coffee for the day. We have little munchies and goodies on the table. You show up at noon and more or less just chit-chat with other artists. And it was another idea that we had through the Planning Council of creating an environment where you don't have to get an invitation to come. You can just plan every first Sunday from noon to 2. There's a gathering of artists at Oceanside Museum of Art. The cool thing about that is that the museum on first Sundays is open for free. So you don't have to have a membership. So you come in, you'll be able to see the exhibitions, have some coffee, meet some artists. Yeah. It's a great time.
Well, and you know what else, folks? I've already been to at least one or two of those, and I can tell you firsthand, it's not just meeting the other artists. It's also meeting people who are in the art scene, networking, people who may want to commission your style of art. They may want to have you be their artist. I mean, I saw it happening firsthand the first time I went.
Yep.
And so I'd say that's a free, very simple, easy. Check out the museum, check out the Artists Alliance.